Have you been on a plant-based diet and have persistent cholesterol, or maybe it went down in the very beginning and now it's just kind of trended back up? Well, we're going to talk about why cholesterol can stay elevated even while you're embracing a whole food plant-based diet. And there's some interesting spin on what menopause does to our cholesterol. So, by the way, I'm Dr. Lori Marvis. I'm a board certified family and lifestyle medicine physician who specializes in just these things, topics like a plant-based diet, menopause for women who are still struggling with, all these symptoms and they're just not quite sure what to do. So, before I'd like to share a story. I had a patient who um, literally been on a whole food plant-based diet for many years. She incorporated my cholesterol lowering protocol and it dropped 25%. And so there's so many things that we can do, even when we think we're doing everything right. Just like my own menopause story, where I literally felt like I fell off a cliff, even though I had just run a PR in the Boston half marathon. I mean, incredible changes can occur very quickly. So let's dive right in to the science. So, first of all, let me grab my notes here. All right. So first of all, many people will turn to a plant-based diet to improve heart health and reduce cholesterol levels. There's absolute evidence that this happens for many, many people. And again, while it's highly effective approach, some individuals still have an experience with persistent high cholesterol, even with really extreme dietary change. So, we're going to explore why cholesterol levels remain elevated on a plant based diet and how menopause can further impact cholesterol and how you can manage these issues literally effectively. But first, if you want to learn more about how to overcome menopause challenges like elevated cholesterol, please sign up for my free Master Menopause and Feel Fabulous webinar. The link is below. And there you'll discover the top 3 mistakes women make during menopause and my 5-step blueprint that can help you master menopause and feel fabulous again. And again, I'm just going to share with you quickly how this happened to me last year. Well, just about a year ago, over a year ago now. I, again, was in the best shape probably I'd been on in a very long time, running. I was lifting weights, whole food plant-based diet. I had always excellent labs, never had my LDL, which is my bad cholesterol, over 100 in my entire life. After I finished that half marathon, within a week, I had the craziest symptoms. And by the way, I'll be 54 on Monday. So, I'm well past the average age of menopause, but I was still having periods, but they were getting longer in, between each one. But I had just had my labs checked. Again, my LDL was always been under 100, pristine labs. Within a week, I had horrible hot flashes, joint pain was astronomical, brain fog, not feeling well. And I was like, what is going on? And so I did labs, of course, and my cholesterol was elevated, my LDL above 100 for the first time in my entire over half a decade of my existence. And so I was flabbergasted. So this is really what flung me more deeply into the menopause, perimenopause. Absolutely have helped women previously, but I have been like literally for over a year now, well over a year now, just diving into the research. And I can tell you, I've had so many women come to me with patients saying, this, I'm just dying here. I've been suffering in silence. And I'm so thankful to hear someone speak about it. So we need to be talking more about it. And our hormones, for everyone, no. But many women can embrace those and feel amazing. Again, there's many, many things you can do. But I just wanted to share that story, how I overcame that. There were several things that I had to do, and I feel back to myself again. The 103-year-old body that I felt I had has gone away. So anyway, let's jump again. Why cholesterol can stay high on a plant-based diet. Number one is genetic factors. So there's absolute genetic predispositions such as familial hypercholesterolemia, can cause persistently high cholesterol regardless of diet. And this condition requires more than dietary adjustments. And absolutely most of the time they necessitate medication for effective management. I've seen a family when I was practicing in person with patients back in Colorado. I believe they had 3 kids and all of them had total cholesterol well over 400 in their early teens and pre-teen years. Crazy, crazy numbers. Number two, saturated fat in plant-based foods, right? So certain plant foods like coconut oil, palm oil, cocoa butter are high in saturated fats and can raise your LDL cholesterol, again, contributing to elevated levels, even though they're plant based leaning or focus. Three is low soluble fiber. So while many plant based foods contain fiber, it's the soluble fiber, like things like oats, beans, and certain fruits, that actively lowers cholesterol by binding to it in the digestive tract, right? So your liver is still spitting out that cholesterol and it recycles. And depending on the person, you may be a very good recycler and your cholesterol can stay elevated. So that soluble fiber grabs hold of that cholesterol and literally escorts it out the door. Number four is limited plant sterols, right? So plant sterols and stanols can block the cholesterol absorption, but they may be lacking in some plant-based diet. Again, certain foods can be very helpful. I'm not a huge fan of plant sterol supplements. Again, there's a whole nother reason for that. So I would steer clear of any plant sterol supplements. But again, just paying attention to your diet and eating a wide range of foods. But we'll get to what to do in just a second. Next, number five is the impact of refined carbohydrates. So high intake of refined carbohydrates, even from plant-based sources, can elevate triglycerides and even cholesterol profiles. So focus on whole grains instead of the bagel. Think about the whole grain. So again, that will keep your triglycerides lower and your cholesterol more likely in check. Now let's talk a little bit more about how perimenopause, which encompasses the time that you start noticing your periods changing all the way through the first 12 months after your last period. So that's perimenopause. Postmenopausal is the time after that. And so there's 7 different stages based on studies on where you sit perimenopause or postmenopause. So again, it will just depend on the final menstrual period is really the main determinant, and symptoms can tell you a few different things as well. You do not need labs necessarily unless you're in a very special case. Labs might be helpful, but it's certainly not required. So got off track here. Let's keep jumping. So again, how does perimenopause and menopause affect cholesterol? First of all, you get hormonal shifts. That's obvious. Estrogen helps maintain healthier cholesterol levels by increasing your HDL and then lowering your LDL. And I absolutely saw that. My HDL had dropped as my LDL had increased. But when I embraced menopausal hormone therapy, things shifted back to the way they were beforehand. And so remember, as estrogen declines during menopause, that LDL and total cholesterol increase, and that creates a more what we call atherogenic lipid profile, meaning that it's more likely to cause plaque and some other things. Number two, menopause can transition can worsen cholesterol in literally your total cholesterol. Those again, it really depends also, I think, on a variety of different factors. Inflammation, insulin resistance is another piece of this. So hormonal shifts during menopause often will contribute to weight gain, especially around the abdomen, which will increase inflammation, again, increase your insulin resistance. That leads to also increased LDL. There's a whole, it's almost like a perfect storm of things that can occur. So you have a diet that may be not quite optimal. You have, again, some fluctuations in hormones that actually can improve the lipid panel disappearing altogether because your lipid metabolism is now out of whack. And again, so when you look at those different type of things and this the milieu of living in this particular lifestyle that many of us do, burdened by a lot of different job requirements and family requirements, we're not as active as we used to, we're not eating as well as we should, those things all compound, and during menopause it just gets worse. So what can you absolutely do? So here's 5 strategies to start thinking about, and this could definitely help quite a bit. And like I said, I've seen some patients dramatically improve their cholesterol just as recently as, this week, seeing patients, we've seen triglycerides drop almost 100 points. I saw total cholesterol drop over 60 points. So again, just some things there to pay attention to. Number one is increase that soluble fiber. Boost intake foods like oats, your beans, and fruits to help lower your cholesterol levels. Consider again looking at those plant sterols and maybe some fortified foods, eating a wide variety of colors and different types of plants in the whole form. Number three is monitor your saturated fats, right? So limit foods that are high in saturated fats, such as coconut oil, coconut milk, and opt for healthier whole plant food sources like nuts, seeds, and avocados. Because nuts and seeds have been shown to actually lower cholesterol. So, like walnuts, you could do hemp seeds, chia seeds. A variety of those are just so good for you. Plus, they're higher in protein, low glycemic foods. Number four is prioritize whole grains, right? So choose whole grains over refined carbs to maintain healthy triglyceride and cholesterol levels. Number five is staying active. So regular exercise aids in weight management, improves insulin sensitivity, and helps regulate cholesterol levels. And, it reminds me of another conversation I had with patients this morning is you start with your whole food plant-based diet, and then exercise is like that next domino in the whole effect. When you start, when you knock down the dominoes and you see them, they just fall upon each other and they do a little pattern. It's so cool. Think of, you have your whole food plant-based diet, and then exercise is coming right alongside it. Because what exercise does, like mentioned before, increases your insulin sensitivity, but it also helps you sleep better. When you have better sleep, you become more insulin sensitive. You're less likely to have the elevated risk for cholesterol, or excuse me, cardiovascular disease. You will lose more weight. So many things can happen when you get better quality sleep. So sleep in and of itself is a whole nother thing that comes along with menopause, perimenopause. I'm sure that's a compounding factor in all of this. But again, there's so many strategies that you can implement that are outside of even prescribed medications. And there's even non-hormonal prescriptions that can be helpful for those who can't necessarily take HRT or what we call MHT, menopausal hormone therapy. So many things to learn about perimenopause, menopause. The science is fascinating. What's happening to a woman's body during this time of her life? You thought you went through enough during, going from going through puberty, oh heavens, or then having babies if you did choose to have babies, and now you're going through this. It's a time to stop, turn inward, pay attention, because menopause will just say, yo, wake up. I need you to look inward, and it's time to take care of ourselves. And such a blessing in a sense, because there's so much wisdom to be brought from women in this time frame, in this part of in this age. It's just incredible. So we should embrace it as a time to say, hey, we do need to take care of ourselves, and we have a lot to share with others. And so, anyway, I hope you found that helpful. Don't forget, by the way, down below, please check out the free Master Menopause and Feel Fabulous webinar. It's below. You're going to, again, learn the top 3 mistakes women make during menopause and the 5-step blueprint that I utilize to master menopause and feel fabulous with my patients and that I did with myself. So I feel you. I hear you. I totally get where you're at. So as always, thank you so much for being here. I'm just sending gratitude, joy, love, and healing to you, because goodness, we all need more of that in our lives and in this world. So thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your week.